We just witnessed one of the most disastrous hearings in recent Senate history, and it featured none other than Robert F. Kennedy, Jr. The fallout from that spectacle is still unfolding, and the implications are deeper than just one chaotic session. What went down in that room told us more about the state of the Republican Party, the fragility of public health, and the dangerous contradictions of Trump's chosen Health and Human Services Secretary than almost any press release or speech could. Let's set the stage. The hearing began with RFK Jr. facing pointed questions from Senator Bill Cassidy, a Republican from Louisiana. Cassidy didn't waste time. He asked Kennedy if he believed the president deserved a Nobel Prize for Operation Warp Speed, the program that rushed vaccines through development during the pandemic. Without hesitation, Kennedy answered, absolutely. But wait a second. Only moments earlier, Cassidy had reminded Kennedy of his long history of attacking vaccines. He pressed him on whether he had said the COVID vaccine killed more people than the virus itself. Kennedy tried to deny it, insisting, "I did not say that." Cassidy didn't let it slide. "We'll check the record," he said. And then he hammered harder. Kennedy, as the lead attorney for Children's Health Defense, had spent years filing lawsuits specifically aimed at restricting access to those very vaccines. So which is it? If the vaccines are so deadly that you spent your career trying to ban them, why now say Operation Warp Speed deserves a Nobel Prize? It's the kind of contradiction that doesn't just expose inconsistency, it exposes dishonesty. This is the heart of the fallout. It's not just about Kennedy fumbling answers. It's about the fact that his own words, his own lawsuits, his own record all directly clash with his current attempt to flatter Donald Trump. He can't have it both ways. He can't build a career demonizing vaccines, then turn around and praise the program that produced them just to protect his standing in Trump's cabinet. And Cassidy wasn't alone. John Cornyn, another Republican senator, also pressed Kennedy. Think about that. These are senators who, under normal circumstances, will go to the mat to defend Donald Trump no matter what he does. These are the politicians who swallowed their tongues when Trump defended a pedophile, when Trump threatened to send U.S. troops into American cities, when trampled every principle of small government they claimed to hold dear. They said nothing then, but now, faced with Kennedy's reckless disinformation on vaccines, even they feel compelled to speak up. That's how bad this is. That's how alarming Kennedy's behavior has become. He has managed to alienate not just Democrats, not just independents, but even Trump's most loyal allies in the Senate. Of course, politics is never far from the calculation. Cassidy himself is up for re-election in 2026. In the back of his mind, he knows Trump could endorse a challenger in the primary and end his career overnight. That fear looms over everything he does. And yet, even with that fear, Cassidy still pushed back hard. What does that tell you? It tells you that the danger Kennedy poses to public health is so obvious, so undeniable, that even a senator worried about Trump's wrath can't ignore it. And Cassidy's concerns are rooted in reality. In recent weeks, we've seen senior leaders at the CDC resign or be forced out. One of them went on record saying Kennedy refused to even meet with his own staff. He didn't want to hear the science. He didn't want to see the data. He didn't even want to sit in the same room as the experts tasked with keeping Americans safe. That's not leadership. That's sabotage. The scariest part, the consequences of this kind of sabotage don't hit immediately. They don't show up in tomorrow's headlines or next month's polls. They unfold over years. A measles resurgence, a return of polio, outbreaks that we thought belonged to the history books suddenly roaring back. By dismantling public health guardrails today, Kennedy is virtually guaranteeing disasters tomorrow. Donald Trump, meanwhile, only reacts to consequences when they smack him in the face. When his tariffs tanked the stock market, he pulled back. Not because he learned, not because he cared, but because he felt immediate pain. With public health, the pain doesn't come until it's too late, until children are sick, until hospitals are overwhelmed, until outbreaks spread. And that delay makes it all the more dangerous. And don't forget the bitter irony. Kennedy rose to power by exploiting the pandemic itself. He twisted the tragedy of COVID into political currency. He manipulated fear, grief, and confusion into a movement that put him in charge of America's health system. So why would we believe that when the next outbreak comes, he won't do the exact same thing again? Let's talk about this so-called movement, Make America Healthier Again. On the surface, it sounds reasonable. Who doesn't want a healthier country? Who doesn't want better food, less obesity, fewer chronic diseases? But Kennedy has hijacked that idea and turned it into a sideshow. Instead of focusing on systemic reforms, like regulating the food industry, cleaning up the environment, expanding healthcare access, he fixates on raw milk, food dyes, and whether French fries are cooked in beef tallow or canola oil. This isn't public health policy. It's a parody of it. Yes, ultra-processed foods are a problem. Yes, environmental toxins contribute to disease. But banning Fruit Loops isn't going to solve childhood diabetes. And drinking raw milk isn't going to protect communities from cancer-causing chemicals dumped into rivers and air by corporations the Trump administration has happily deregulated. That's the con. It's not about solving problems. It's about creating the illusion of solving them. It's about taking meaningless symbolic wins while ignoring the real crises. We've seen this before. Trump doesn't want to fix the economy. He just wants the numbers to look good. That's why he fired the Bureau of Labor Statistics chief when the data didn't flatter him. He doesn't want to solve health crises. He just wants to take a victory lap while ignoring the real damage. Meanwhile, the hypocrisy is staggering. Michelle Obama tried to make school lunches healthier. She was mocked relentlessly. Michael Bloomberg tried to limit supersized sodas. He was branded a tyrant. But when Kennedy pushes pseudoscience under the banner of health, suddenly the same critics cheer him on. The double standard isn't just political, it's deadly. And then there's the optics of the hearing itself. Beyond the contradictions in his testimony, people notice something else. Kennedy's labored breathing into the microphone. In a Senate hearing on health, the Secretary of Health himself sounded like he could barely breathe. It was awkward, distracting, and frankly embarrassing. If this had been a Democratic official, Fox News would have turned it into a week-long scandal. Hannity and Carlson would have played the clip on loop, calling it evidence of incompetence. But because it's RFK Jr., conservative media looked the other way. They defended him, framed the hearing as a liberal attack, and moved on. That's the larger problem. No matter how obvious the failures, no matter how glaring the contradictions, the right-wing media machine will cover for them. They'll excuse anything as long as it protects their side. And that's why it's so important for independent media, for voices outside the echo chamber, to keep shining a light on what's happening. Because this isn't abstract. These aren't just political games. The fallout is real. It's measured in outbreaks. It's measured in hospitalizations. It's measured in lives lost. What Kennedy is doing to America's health system isn't just reckless, it's catastrophic. And what Trump is allowing by elevating Kennedy isn't just cynical, it's dangerous. This hearing was a warning shot. Senators who almost never break from Trump felt they had to speak out. Public health officials are fleeing. And Kennedy, instead of defending science, is doubling down on the very disinformation that put him in power. The fallout has already begun. The question is, will the country pay attention before it's too late?